In the name of God, who is eternal love, beloved, and love overflowing. Amen. So in the movie Meet Joe Black, there are a couple of poignant scenes. Scenes where Death, who is played by Brad Pitt, pays a visit to a Jamaican woman, and she happens to be dying of cancer. She somehow knows who he really is. And in the course of their second conversation, she realizes that Death has fallen in love with her, as she calls her Dr. Lady. Somehow she knows he's got to be violating some sort of spiritual rule, some sort of spiritual boundary between the spirit world and the human world. And she's a feisty woman, so she tells him so. And then he confesses in all vulnerability that he's not lonely when he's here on earth, and particularly not when he's with his Dr. Lady. And she says, "It's nice it happened to you. Like you come to the island and had a holiday. Sun didn't burn you red, just brown. You sleep and no mosquito eats you. But the truth is, it's bound to happen if you stay long enough. So take that nice picture you got in your head home with you, but don't be fooled. We lonely here mostly too. If we're lucky, maybe we got some nice pictures to take with us." I think all of us have those nice pictures. We call it memories. Some of us even have pictures piled in boxes or specifically in photo albums with everything labeled as to where this picture was taken and what was happening at the time. I know I had one specific day when I was raising the kids where absolutely everything was going kablooey. And I wrote a whole page about it. Now when I look back on it, it's like, oh, so what? But I don't know, lack of sleep or something. It's in there, it's in the photo album. So one of these days, my dream is to be able to digitalize all that stuff, because I know my kids are just like, they're not going to bother with it. So in a way, those photo albums, our memories, have been sort of a recording of our life in Kodachrome, as Paul Simon would sing. And sometimes it's easier to look back on trips we've been on rather than the family pictures, because sometimes those family pictures bring up emotions that are still uncomfortable. In the reading from the Hebrew Scriptures today, we have a kind of a metaphor of God reflecting longingly on the pictures God holds in her heart of humanity throughout the millennia. Using this metaphor, you can imagine God considering the baby pictures of humanity when she says, "When Israel was a child, I loved him, and out of Egypt I called my son. The more I called them, the more they went from me. Yet it was I who taught Ephraim how to walk. I took them up in my arms, but they did not know it was I who healed them. I led them with cords of human kindness, with bands of love. I was to them like those who lift infants to their cheeks. I bent down to them and fed them." And then God laments, "How can I give you up, Ephraim? How can I hand you over, O Israel? I will not execute my fierce anger, for I am God and no mortal, the Holy One in your midst, and I will not come in wrath." Remember that the next time somebody blares at you with some fundamentalist quote about the coming of God's wrath. And so for me, this is one of the many places that, particularly in the Hebrew Scriptures, we're using the pronoun she, or the word mother, for God seems very appropriate. In effect, the prophet Hosea proclaims that God is like a mother who laments humanity's tendency to run after everything else that isn't eternal in the hope that it'll make us feel safe and secure. Which reminds me of, I have so many wonderful favorite quotes from Thomas Merton, but this one from New Seeds of Contemplation, he says, "Our minds are like crows. They pick up everything that glitters, no matter how uncomfortable our nests get with all that metal in them." It's true. So if we use our holy imagination, we can picture God sitting among all her photo albums of humanity. In so many ways, throughout many thousands of years, God has indeed taken humanity by the hand and led us through many joys and sorrows. And yet, humanity continues to believe that if we just buy that one material thing, that new and improved deity or good luck charm, that it will alleviate the grief or fear that we are experiencing and help us to feel stronger and more secure and fulfilled. This is why the prophets were always calling the children of Israel back to God. Paul actually gives some good advice, believe it or not, in his letter to the church in Colossae, when he says, "Set your minds on things that are above, not on things that are on earth. For you have died, and your life is hidden with Christ in God." No golden thrones for us. He isn't saying, by the way, don't appreciate the beauty of the world. Don't appreciate the beauty of the earth. Don't appreciate the arts. I mean, one of the things that I was constantly faced with, almost to a point of feeling overwhelmed, was the beauty of the artistry of the stone cutters and the sculptors all over the cathedrals that I had visited. I mean, right down to the gargoyles or funny faces that were carved in stone looking at you like, some weird looking face. You can appreciate all that, and it doesn't have to be your ultimate treasure. So he isn't saying don't appreciate or care for the beauty of the earth or the beauty of the arts. Rather, he is recommending that while we appreciate the beauty of the earth and the arts in our homes or in life in general, don't forget that the ultimate joy that can never be taken away resides in the knowledge that we are not alone on this little blue ball in space. That somehow we are interconnected to God and one another by, as Hosea says, infinite and eternal bands of love. What a beautiful picture that is, like the golden thread that connects us all to one another and God. Bands of love, golden bands of love. Now, I'll grant you, sometimes it is difficult to really believe, but accepting this truth is actually kind of a daily spiritual practice. My experience, not just book learning, is that God's love and guidance really can get you through anything. Amen. I mean, I know I've experienced it, so I'm sure you have as well. I suspect, you all know this. But think of all the people whose lives have been dedicated to justice and peace, whose lives were threatened left, right, front, and center on a continual basis, but somehow, rather than despairing, they were able to persevere and continue on in their vocation in spite of the fear they felt. They knew in their mind and heart that they were loved, guided, and accompanied by something greater than just little us or our little trinkets of safety. Most of you know that I just got back from Britain, and I seem to be unable to sleep on airplanes. It's just an impossibility as far as I'm concerned. I don't know how people do it. So I had plenty of time to watch movies, just a nice little perk. As I flew back and forth, one of the movies I watched was Malcolm X with Denzel. Anyway, Denzel in the lead role. But what came to me when I read our scriptures for today, like Malcolm, like Martin Luther King Jr., like Oscar Romero, Marianne Buddy, even Mother Teresa's life was threatened when she first moved into an old Hindu temple to start her home for the dying. Anybody who has worked for justice and has run into people that don't want it, the privileged, they all relied heavily on their faith in the midst of even death threats. They clung to the pictures they had in their minds of a loving, compassionate God that will never leave or forsake them. I mean, I don't know if all priests have this experience, but I mean, I have to say, with all the violence in our world, it has crossed my mind more than once that, if we could die a good death, like Oscar Romero being shot at the altar, that's not a bad way to go. But again, that's holding on to our ultimate hope. That faith got the people who have worked for peace and justice under threats of death, got them through that, and it's going to get us through that as well. We've all seen folks spew religious quotes and then create laws that condemn people to desperation. If we're willing to go through experiences holding on to our faith while we work for justice and peace, and sometimes, I like to joke, I've left claw marks in everything that has challenged me. It's not always easy to be a person of faith in the face of injustice. But I know now, looking back on those nice pictures in my head, that I was held. I was guided, I was strengthened, I was changed, I was transformed in the midst of those struggles. I didn't know it at the time because I was too busy feeling like I was just surviving. But now that I look back, I know that I was held. Our life is, as Paul says, hidden safely with Christ in God. Nobody can take that experience, that snapshot away from you, not even if you're in prison. I think often of like John McCain when he was a captive. I think of Terry Waite, who was a captive. I think of how those poor people in Gaza who have been just massacred. I can't tell you how filled with hope I am that even in Israel now, they are marching, they are protesting the government's continual bombardment of these people who are basically being starved to death. I do feel hope with that. We have these memories of somehow knowing that no matter what happens to us, somehow, as St. Julian of Norwich said, all shall be well. We live in a very frenetic world, as you know. I have to say, after running around Britain, and my legs, my knees were killing me, but when you're living in a big city, and I haven't for a long time, I'm born and raised in New York City. But London, holy cow, there's people everywhere, all over the place. The trains, oh my gosh. It's exhausting, it really is. It's frenetic. There's noise everywhere. Don't talk to me even about airports with all the noise blasting there. God forbid we should just, here comes my inner Jewish person, God forbid we should sit in silence, But it is a very frenetic world. And that's on the big picture. When we get down to the smaller pictures, then we have all the drama of family and friends and all the noise from people who have no boundaries. And sometimes we may feel pushed and pulled by all these different needs and wants from all sides. Sometimes it feels as though there are threats coming from every corner of our life. But when that happens, that's the time to remember those little pictures in our minds from our spiritual photo album, so to speak. All those times when we know we've been upheld, when our life has been and continues to be hidden with Christ in God. Contrary to what we may experience, we are connected. We are being strengthened. We are being transformed. And we are being loved just exactly the way you are. No need for new and improved you. You will be transformed just the same. There's just nothing like that feeling. As long as I live, I know I will be susceptible to experiences that will tempt me from time to time into despair, but I always have the choice to practice trusting in the love and reality of God, which just never lets us go. That has been and continues to be my experience, which is why, much like the Jamaican woman, when I sit down for my daily prayer and meditation in the morning, it's like I come to the island on a holiday. Sun didn't burn me red, just brown. I sleep and no mosquito eat me. This is what daily spiritual practices can do for you. It's plugging in. It's like charging your cell phone. You got to plug into the source to be reminded of the strength you really have available to you in this crazy, crazy world. Beautiful and crazy. So we got to take those nice pictures we've got in our minds and find ourselves able to rest in God's love. It's not a whole lot to do. There's no fancy formula for it. Just be still and know that God is with you and in you and among you and around you. That's the spiritual practice that I hope that you'll all find some way of practicing. Amen.